You guys must be exhausted listening to all this stuff for 2 days. I'm supposed to talk about the fine print genome, but I'd rather talk about my kids and show you some home movies. I don't know, it's something to wake you up. In fact, let me tell you a story. I'm actually here because of my daughter Gracie. She's 10 now, but 3 years ago, my wife and I, we were sitting in the kitchen and we were going through some junk mail. At least it seemed like junk mail. And something caught my eye. It sort of looked like this. And I opened it, and it looked like fine print gibberish, sort of like this. But it was about Gracie's educational fund that we'd set up a few years prior to that, and we were very proud. I remember the day that we set that up, my wife Becky and I. So because it was about my daughter Gracie's future, I did something I've never done before. I sat down and I read every last word of this stuff. It was painful. But let me tell you what I discovered. I discovered that it was full of terms I didn't understand and fees I had no idea about. Innocent-looking fees like 1% that just somehow blossomed into thousands of dollars over time. And I was furious, obviously. But then I was inspired to ask myself the question, what is in the rest of my fine print? And it was that anger and that inspiration, I suppose, that's brought me here today to speak with you. Now, fine print is so out of control, it's turned me into a liar. I don't know about you, but I'm constantly clicking these boxes that say I have read, understand, and agree to the terms and conditions here, and I never read that stuff. Do any of you read that stuff? It's unbelievable, right? So tell me, do you ever wonder what's in your fine print? Do you ever wonder what's in your company's fine print? If you dare, come talk to me. I can show you. I can tell you. Now, I want you to think about times where you've made serious financial choices and decisions for yourself and been bombarded by reams of fine print. Maybe you got a mortgage. Maybe you signed up for the company 401k plan. Maybe your health insurance. My friends, those moments is the fine print economy. That's where the fine print economy shows up. Now, how many times have you heard a fine print injustice story? A friend aggrieved because of some exclusion or surcharge or penalty or deductible or teaser rate, something they had innocently agreed to in the fine print, but they didn't notice until it hit them right here in the wallet where it counts. It just doesn't seem fair. It almost doesn't seem American. And it's time for this to stop. There's no reason that this has all got to be so opaque. We're all making very important financial choices and decisions based either on advertising claims or fine print. Neither help. It's way too confusing. So when I looked at Gracie's fine print, I knew that there had to be a better way. My name is David Hirsch, and my company and I are so determined to solve this problem that we've built a dream team from UCLA, Duke, NYU, and Rand. And they've been working very quietly, almost secretly, to develop the world's first fine print genome, which is what's brought us here today to announce to you the inauguration of Transparency Labs, the nation's first and only laboratory dedicated to ending the $250 billion a year fine print economy. Our mission is very straightforward: to decode, demystify, and deconstruct all of the fine print, to make it transparent, clear, and simple for all consumers. And we're doing this in a way that's never been possible before because of disclosure laws. We're constructing an empirical, objective, and benchmark database of all of your agreements. That's the genome. So if you pull down, Ben, who benefits, you'll see, obviously, there are many stakeholders for this data. Let me show you how it helps consumers. We're decoding the agreements for all of your products, but let's pick one. Let's pick your credit card. Everyone's got one, and people think that this is the product. The credit card, this piece of plastic, is not the product. It's the fine print is the product of your credit card. So we're going to answer some very quick questions for you. And we're going to let Transparency Labs do its job, scan the contract, and see what's in there. Now, it's going to pull my contract from the National Fine Print Repository. This is the nation's new home for all of the fine print agreements in the country, aggregated in a single vault for the first time and tracked and monitored daily. Frankly, it's one of the dullest reading rooms in the world, I can tell you that, but it is our factory. And here, you're going to see what you got. And we can show you all sorts of things about your fine print contract. We focus on fees and risks first, because obviously those are the most important things that people are missing. So if you pull down here, you'll see for this card, that's not mine, is it? 29%? Where did I miss that in the fine print? And you can scroll over any term as Ben has just done. Now I want to show you one more feature that I want to be sure you don't miss. There's a lot in here, but there's one feature that's very important. And Ben, if you show this, because of time, I'm not going to walk you through it, but there's a real problem right now in how companies look at the fine print. They're changing it constantly. They reserve the right to change the contract terms at any time. They know that you're not reading those notices. We know that, and they know that. But there's real stuff going on in those contract changes. Your rates are changing, your risks are changing, and your rights are changing. We can now begin to disclose that to you on an ongoing basis because we're monitoring those changes for you. So that is how Transparency Labs will begin to use the fine print genome. Frankly, what's most exciting about today is that there's a vibrant movement already underway, a transparency and clarity movement. And we'd like all of you to be at its vanguard. Companies are competing at a very, very complex marketplace. But the paradigm is changing, and transparency is becoming the critical goal of all of these companies, for your customers, and for your children like my Gracie. Thank you.